Is Kanishka there in the class?
Yes, sir.
Kanishka, why don't you read this story, the original story which you got in bits and pieces?
Okay,
And
sir.
Nadia, if you are there, you can also read it. And Tarahum also. Tarahum, please read the original story. The story was that in 1991, Ford learned an expensive lesson in the value of barcodes. The problem arose when Ford found out that some airbags in its cars might leak, burning gases as they unfurled during an accident, endangering the drivers they were meant to save. The airbags supplied by TRW demonstrate the hazards of converting an experimental technology into a mass-produced good. An airbag is a complex system made up of sensors that detects an impact and then explodes, releasing a small bag of gas which temporarily inflates a parachute-like balloon to cushion the occupant from the impact of an accident. It is one of the most in-demand safety features on the new cars today. To meet the demand, TRW tried to accelerate production by using robots to automate tasks previously performed by hand, but an out-of-tolerance machine damaged threading on the joint in the airbags, which might have allowed a few bags to spill their gases. No injuries have occurred because of the defect, and TRW stressed that few airbags had the defect. The only problem was that no one knew which airbags had the defect. For neither TRW nor Ford had used barcoding or any other system to identify individual airbags or the production lots they came from. What should Ford managers do? If they ignored the defect, someone might eventually be hurt, either from the gases or from an improperly cushioned impact. Furthermore, the company would be legally liable for ignoring a known product hazard. To play it safe, Ford issued a multi-million-dollar recall of 165,000 cars, even though the best estimates indicated that little more than 3,000 cars had the defective airbags. Ford also announced that it expected TRW to share in the expenses. Further, it renewed its contract with TRW, assigning 20% of its airbags business to TRW competitors, with plans to routinely buy airbags from multiple sources by mid-90s. This was a major blow to TRW and left industry observers shaking their heads over the hidden expenses of not using barcodes. So, let us start with Subia. Subia, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Subia, what could be the your reflections on why in the end we only got 10% of the original story? In fact, one of the volunteer could not participate due to technical problems. Had it been, 5 volunteers, my experience is that it would have been even less than 10%.
So actually, I think nowadays, since we are so prone to the technology, so communication through word of mouth can be a little bit tedious. Rather than what we see, like nowadays we are having a habit of reading the notices or formal information via mail, or maybe via some notices uploaded on website and all.
You are very right. You are very right. So one of the model of communication says that there are two parties involved. you have a sender and you have a receiver, isn't it? It generally takes two persons to communicate, isn't it? Minimum. And yes, there could be intrapersonal communication also, but generally in organizational context, we have interpersonal communication and it takes two persons to communicate. So you have a sender and you have a receiver. Now in this situation also, you had a sender and you had a receiver. And you are saying that, the sender uses a medium to communicate with the receiver. What Subia is saying, and she is very right, the appropriateness of the medium. If it was a written text, isn't it? And if you are asked to verbalize everything, memorize everything and then verbalize it, there is a danger of we losing some of the content. Isn't it? So, choosing the appropriate medium is a very important dimension. Okay, and that was done here purposely to create to help us understand how distortions occur in communication. But could there be a problem in your understanding the text?
Yes, sir, there might be.
What were those problems?
So, for example, when I read the text for the first time, I was not able to grasp all the relevant information. But if it would have been visible to me while I was explaining to the other candidate, it would have been a little better. Like I would have been able to state all the facts, like most of the important facts.
Okay, so what happens is then when we communicate with others and we try to grasp the communication of others, there is a process which we call filtering. What is filtering? Filtering is some, additions or deletions which we do as per our own mindset. In fact, it is said that we don't see things the way they are. We see things the way we are. So, I don't know why, for example, it could be because nowadays we are in a situation we are hearing bad news only. And so you said one of the additions that you did or alteration that you did to the original message was that there were some airbags which were getting leaked. If you recall, Subia.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, that was not the original part. The original was that might leak, isn't it? No accident had occurred till date.
Yes, sir.
And yes, they had discovered that some airbags might be defective, and because of which they may spill the gas, and that might be harmful. Or when an accident actually occurs, they may not open up. And naturally, because of that, they will not be able to protect the driver, the purpose for which they have been installed in the car.
Yes, sir.
So sometimes what happens is that filtering occurs. Filtering occurs because people are different. They have their own preferences. They have their own important things which they feel are important. And accordingly, they consciously or unconsciously, it could happen consciously or like in Subia's case, it happened unconsciously. And only she can reflect on this question why she resorted to that kind of modification. But there was modification. And the original content was, modified to make it that airbags were getting leaked. isn't it? Then likewise, you added a few more things. You talked about it was not, incorporated in the financial statements for quality checks. Isn't it, Suvia?
Yes, I did that.
Although if you read, because you had read the original story in written form also. That is why reflecting on this is important.
Yes, sir.
Why this addition occurred. So what happens is that, when we have gaps in our story or in our understanding, we try to fill it with some things which we feel will fill the gap. And in the process, we move away a bit from the original story or original message which was there. And sometimes, we have. So I will now I would introduce one barrier which I said, filtering. I will add one more barrier to this discussion, and that is information overload. I think in the present day context, this has become a major barrier. Why? Because we are each day bombarded with a lot of information. Information which may be relevant, which may not be that relevant, or which may even be irrelevant. Especially ever since we have started using social media, I hope all of you will appreciate how many messages you get which are redundant. But you get it. So what do? You delete. But in the process, we may, delete some of the important messages also. So this is, I think, one of the serious problems in communication, the information overload. So sometimes what happens is that because of this, we tend to lose the central message. And we get bogged down in the details. So maybe, Subhya, you can reflect on this aspect and see, was it so that the information was a bit too heavy for you, and you thought that information which you have received must be transmitted in toto?
Yes, sir. There were some facts which I was not able to retain.
Yes. And actually, you have to make a difference between what is data and what is information. For example, you said that in the first narration, you said this happened in 1991, and then you corrected it. 1999, and then you corrected it. It happened in 1991. Just think about it. If I say, some time back in Fort, this happened, will it make any difference to the content of the story?
No, sir.
Isn't it? So whether it is 1991 or 1980 or 2001 or 2021, does it make any difference to the original story?
No, sir.
So sometimes we have to make a judgment, what is data and what is information. Isn't it? In fact, I was reading an Urdu text, and the fellow who has written it has been banker all through his life. He was an old elite. He studied here in 1940s and then went to Pakistan and then acquired prominent position there. He was a banker by profession. Later on, he went to UK and was part of a bank there. So in this reflection, which is autobiographical in nature, he makes a very, very interesting statement. And he says कि जब मैं अपनी जिंदगी पे गौर करता हूँ तो ऐसा लगता है कि जिंदगी भर पेड़ गिनता रह गया और जंगल की हकीकत को ना समझ सका. what could be the import of this sentence to the discussion that we are carrying? क्या ऐसा होता है हम लोग के साथ अक्सर कि हम लोग पेड़ गिनते रह जाते हैं? So if you are asked to describe forest, yes, trees are an important part of it. लेकिन अगर हम उस फॉरेस्ट की रियलिटी को डिस्क्राइब करने के लिए सारे पेड़ों को गिनना शुरू कर दें, will that be the right approach? What the class thinks on that? Kanishka?
No, sir.
So making this judgment, what is data and what is information, is a very crucial decision that we have to make in the present age of information overload. Okay. So perhaps Subia got bogged down with this idea that I've received some information and this information is sacrosanct and I have to make a valiant attempt to pass it on to the next speaker in full. And that also might act as a barrier to communication. Now, Kanishka, you were asked, Subia, it so happened that you were asked to restate the story.
Yes, sir.
And you might note that your second narration was much better.
Yes, sir.
So what is the learning out of this?
So when I narrated for the first attempt, it was a little impromptu by my side. So when I was given the opportunity to narrate it for the second time, I was a little more confident than the previous one. And also I was able to recall some more information, some more relevant information. So the second attempt was much better than the previous one, I think.
Now, in this context, let us understand one more category of barriers, which we call emotional barriers or psychological barriers. The mental state, maybe in the first attempt, you were a bit more worked up. You have to do a job. And that, emotional state might have, impacted your narration. Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
If you were in a more relaxed, comfortable emotional state, you did a better job. Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is one of the reasons for, these are some of the barriers. Now, can I ask, is Tarahum there in the class? Tarahum? And Kanishka?
Yes, sir.
How do you assess your performance? Because by the time it reached you, major part of the story was actually lost. So you actually had a very tough job. So how do you reflect on this?
So my approach always remains like you have to capture the important points and you should jot it down so that you keep that forwarding the information. So then up till my time there was only 2 or 3 points remaining. So it was not for that hard for me to remember those points, but in a start we should have tried to point-wise explanation to each person, then maybe more information must have passed on.
So to me, I think the central story, which was the core story, if we could have, जैसे मैंने एक analogy use की कि पेड़ गिनना और जंगल की हकीकत समझना. I think the central message here was that the जंगल की हकीकत part was that Ford or TRW did not use barcodes. And because of that, it became difficult to identify the production lots from where the airbags came. So they were one at the same. So even the best estimate said that some 3,000 plus airbags were defective, but they had to take back. Now, if we had difficulty in remembering this, we can convert it into percentages. They are easy to remember. We will not lose the original story. Okay, 165,000 cars were there in the market and only 3,000. So how much percentage? Maybe just 2%, isn't it? So we can say, yes, a major lot was sent, but only 2% were defective, but they had to take back all the 100%. Even that would have served the purpose. So always, when communicating, it is very, very important that we get to the central message and the core idea behind the message. है ना, जैसे हम लोग के यहाँ जब दादी नानी कहानी सुनाती थी तो ये होता था ना कि जब मॉरल ऑफ द स्टोरी पूछा जाता था, है ना, व्हाट इज द मॉरल ऑफ द, क्या सीखा तुमने इस कहानी से? दैट इज द सेंट्रल आइडिया. And when we are not sure of the Nadia, is she there in the class? So, Nadia, are you there? Because by the time Nadia came in the scene, a major part of the story was already lost. When she started narrating, I think we could read the uncertainty on her face. I have talked about emotional or psychological barriers. So I will add one more thing now. I have talked about information overload. I have talked about filtering. I have talked about emotional barriers. Sometimes, language also plays a role. You can imagine the complexity of the situation if this thing was communicated by, let us say, Nadia to a worker, कि problem क्या हुई थी, and she might have to translate it into another language, which the worker can understand. There will be even more, complications and challenges. Sometimes what happens in language, which is a subset of the larger problem of language, we call it in the communication parlance semantic barriers. So one of the category of semantic barriers is technical language or jargons, which we call. For example, Tarahum also and Subia also had difficulty in understanding what is a barcode, for example. But somebody who has studied, for example, engineering with the previous background, academic background, for him or her, barcode would be a term which she or he would be very familiar with. Isn't it? So sometimes, jargons also impact communication and they become a barrier in communication. Overall language, and in that, the use of specialized. Why it becomes difficult for us to understand doctors' language? Because they speak in their own jargons. अगर कोई डॉक्टर कहे कि भाई this was a case of MI, myocardial infarction, अब दूसरे को तो लगेगा पता नहीं क्या है, क्योंकि वो उनके लिए MI, they will not They will not say that the person had a heart attack. Isn't it? So sometimes, this also becomes a major problem. Use of specialized language. And this depends on our professional training. And if you have had, specialized technical kind of training, we take some words for granted and we end up using it. This is a problem which has been noted about MBAs also, that they use jargons which they have picked up in their MBA course, and they intimidate others with that. Let us use market skimming strategy, for example. Now, you might have studied in Kotler, but somebody may not be familiar with it. So you have to bring or use a language which others can understand and appreciate. Okay. There is one more barrier which is not part of this exercise, but which is an important barrier, and that is national culture. Maybe when we go to Kerala, they shake their heads in a different manner. So if they agree, they will shake their head like this, and you will get confused whether they are agreeing or disagreeing. Isn't it? So this is happening in one country. In India also we have so many diversities on this account. And these diversities become even more complex when we move ahead, when we go to international scenario. And we interact with Americans, we interact with Japanese, Chinese. They all have their national culture, and communication is a very important part of that. And not only verbal but non-verbal gestures. Do you shake hands? Do you kiss somebody on the forehead when you meet a business partner and all that? All those sensitivities you need to understand, and then this sensitivity helps you overcome some of the barriers. Is it? So now let me run this PPT for you, which I was showing to you. So I have discussed with you barriers. Can you see the barriers?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I've talked about information overload. I've talked about filtering. I've talked about emotions. I've talked about language, national culture. What is this defensiveness? Defensiveness means when we are, under threat. So, for example, if you see Nadia's facial expression when she was, if you remember, when she was narrating, there was a lot of tentativeness on her face, because maybe there was some uncertainty which she was experiencing at that point of the day. Because by then the major part of the story was already distorted, and what she got was some in bits and pieces. So she can assess her mental state better. But what happens is that in such an uncertain situation, when you have to deliver, you often get jittery about things, and you wonder कि कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं है कि मेरा कोई मजाक बनाया जा रहा है, या मुझे क्यों आइडेंटिफाई किया गया है. So when you are under some kind of threat or a perceived threat, it may not be an actual threat, it may be perceived threat also, we resort to defensive behavior, and that compromises our communication. Okay, so now let us go back to the model. I have presented a very simplified model. In the class you will see its expanded form, and we'll add 2 more points in this, and one is the noise. What is noise? Noise is these barriers I'm talking about. So what happens is, in a communication situation, you have sender. The sender has an idea, and the sender has to encode that idea, because then only it can reach to the receiver. Now, the sender has choice of medium. Sometimes the medium is restricted. For example, if you have to communicate to your colleague, suppose you have the option, you are reporting for Azira, for example. This is what has happened now. Suppose your office is destroyed, so you have only your mobile as your medium of communication. So you have to use that only. So earlier you could have used print medium, which is far more definite. In this story also you saw this. You can, when you use written mode, Subia was far more certain about the text, but not Nadia, because she got it through verbal medium, the oral medium. So the noise could be at the sender's level, the noise could be at the medium level, or it could also be at the receiver's level, isn't it? Now, the receiver decodes the message and then he gets the idea. And that is how the communication takes place. So if there is a problem at the receiver's level, for example, he may not be comfortable in the language in which you are communicating, or he may not be aware of the technical jargons. For example, it is just possible that Subia got clarified what is a barcode, but somebody else may not be very familiar with this technical term. What is a barcode? Isn't it? So how can we address this issue? Is there an option to overcome these barriers? Can we have some inputs from you on this?
So we can reduce the noise by using filters.
In fact, filters, when we use it, what are filters?
So in technical communication, like if you are transmitting the data to a friend or something, we can use it in an encrypted form, or we can specify the technical terms so he or she might not get confused what we are trying to convey.
In fact, we have discussed filtering as a barrier, isn't it? Because we filter our message. In fact, this also has been my experience of doing this exercise. You know, the literature, people with literature background would filter it in their own way, and people who have engineering background, they will filter it. There would be overemphasis on barcodes, for example. In case of
So we can also use feedback as an option to.
yes, that's a very good point. Actually, that option was available with Subia, and so was with Tarahum. but they did not use that very effectively. For example, I was not in a hurry. She could have read the story 2 times, 3 times, and could have got some clarification also from me if she wanted to. And she did ask for barcode, but not for other things. So I think this loop which we have discussed, it would be, I could not draw it, but actually if we have a feedback system from receiver to sender again, this would make the entire model not a unilateral model, a linear model, but it would make it an interactive model, which is what communication is. So moving away from a linear model to a more interactive model, where there is a large role of the feedback, is a very important dimension of taking care of the barriers. You all have seen the political speeches. Basically, it's a linear model. And the center may believe that I have delivered the message. You have seen, but how, that could be a mistaken view. We recently saw Bengal elections. What kind of speeches were delivered? What kind of messages people started getting? And finally, what was the result? So if we do not use feedback effectively and go for the superficial cues, then I think communication gets distorted in a major way. So Aditya, you have made a very important point that, if we learn to use feedback, that is a very important thing. Lata says some structured way of delivering the information should be there. Yes. When we discuss this issue in greater detail, when we meet in the second semester, when we take up communication course, we'll talk about it. Clarity is a very important thing. The communication begins with the idea. If we are clear about the idea, then I think we can do a good job. Any other? Nadia, what would you like to reflect on this entire discussion now?
Sir, I think she's absent.
You're not there. Okay. So, two of them are absent. Tarahum is not there and Nadia is not there.
Yes, sir, he's also not in the class.
Okay. So, let us then call it a day. Maybe Dr. Zareen ma'am may please jot down the name of the volunteers who would present the recap tomorrow. And then we finish this discussion.
सर जाए सर
So those who want to present the recap, please write it on the chat box. So Adnan, Riaz and Arham, they will make the presentation tomorrow. Recap. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.